Hey guys, my name is Garvin Williams, and I'm an eighth grade language arts teacher here in Dallas ISD, more specifically in the Oak Cliff area. And I'm here to talk about how to survive work or something. All right, am I surviving work? I'm trying to survive work. It's a Friday, y'all. It's a Friday evening, and I'm trying to send this video in. Let's see. Okay. Um, I don't know how much I'm going to share today, but I do know that God has been um, so good to me in this job, in this profession, and he has shown up in ways that I don't even understand. Like it's fairly crazy. Of course, I've learned two things. I've learned patience and I've learned a lot of grace being an educator. And I do know that I have the luxury of like seeing God work in so many different ways. Because I feel like how can you not see God if you're working with this like young people, if you're working with like people in general? I think it's fairly easy for you to like practice different things most times. I do know sometimes it's kind of hard to miss it completely. And there's been times in which I wasn't vigilant to where God is working and completely missed an opportunity to either extend grace, to show patience, to rely on his faithfulness, to trust him. Um, I, it varies. So maybe it's not as easy as I said it was. So scratch that part. So how does your work overlap with your calling as a Christian? A lot. I think to recount a specific time, I this was actually like 2 days ago. So a student decided to curse me out. It happens, right? I at this point in time, I have built a I guess I've built a thicker skin. I've always had a fairly thick skin, but it's just like they're 13, they're 14. Not everything I say is something that they would like, and I kind of understand that. But I always take it as an opportunity to like just to reevaluate how I guess how patient I was, or like even if I could potentially extend grace further. And so I just remember just even yesterday, or was it 2 days ago, we had this heart to heart conversation in which I got a chance to share about my upbringing and how my upbringing is fairly similar to the students in Oak Cliff. And I grew up in A Leaf, and just getting an opportunity to share my story in life and saying like, hey, people in society expects this, or sometimes looks at you and thinks this about you and thinks that about you, and just being able to just see like the receptiveness of like what what God is doing, and like just the opportunity to use my story and use like the different trials and tribulations in my own life to speak into young people's lives. And so I see that all the time, and that has been my favorite part of teaching. It's just seeing um just people grow over time. Like I had a student who was so shy and timid, just like leading the debate project, and just like little tiny things like that that are just like priceless to me. On the flip side, how does your work conflict with your calling as a Christian? So the same way that I try to extend grace, I don't always extend it quick enough. I'm not always super patient, and I'm not always vigilant to where God is working, and I don't always trust Him fully at times. I get this opportunity to lead my department this year, and I I sometimes allow my anxiousness and my worry to overcome like the trust that I have in God. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but just realizing how much I have called upon Him, and like every time I speak in front of grown folks, because they're not as forgiving as young people sometimes, and so uh, that has been fairly difficult. But like just cultivating an environment of like trust, and like this year pulling all these norms that I've learned, like even in school, like I've been using Axiom once with the team. It's like like ask the question. Everybody be like ask the question, right? And so like, and even this idea of like pressing into vulnerability and disclosing to people like where your faults are, and I think that takes a lot of vulnerability, and in a lot of ways it shows people that they can do the same. And so I feel like my team this year is fairly open, and I feel like we trust each other more. And I equate that to God working so much in like my life and in this job. And so I think if I had any advice to give, you know, young people about to go into work, it would be this. Um, I think I didn't come up with the saying, but I remember it a whole lot. It's like where your feet is where your mission is. And so ask God where you should go. Like I think sometimes we're so excited to leave college because college is hard and it's difficult and you want to move on to the next stage in life, but consult him with where he wants you to go. And like where are you going to be the hands and feet of Jesus at your workplace? So I think that's fairly important. And two, I think in some ways you got to pick a place that I feel like will challenge you, and also pick a place that you want to be at. You spend most of your waking day at work, uh, you know, and you don't want to be miserable. That's my thing, and maybe I'm part of the feely generation, but like, or chasing purpose generation. Um, so you don't want to see the sun go up and down and you feel stuck. And also, I think the last thing, maybe this can be helpful, is just to press into vulnerability. It's okay to, I think, sometimes disclose, where you are having a hard time. And if that is in the workplace, I think those who sometimes show their cards, and I'm not saying do it all the time, but sometimes those who show their cards, I have reaped the benefit of just understanding the humanity amongst people and how much, there's a lot more people willing to work with you and to help you than you think. And so, you gotta ask sometimes. So yeah, it says 2 to 4 minutes. This is like 7 minutes long. So y'all do with it what you want, and I hope that the remaining time at winter camp is fun, insightful, challenging, and that you see God work in just the most outstanding ways. All right, guys. Bye.